Are AI and developers the world's best friends, or is artificial intelligence a threat to the future of programmers? As artificial intelligence models are becoming increasingly sophisticated, many questions are raised about the future of developers across the industry. Will AI replace programmers entirely, as Eric Schmidt and Dario are predicting? Will junior developers be facing extinction, as Steve Yegge surmised in a now famous blog post? Or are we witnessing the dawn of a new era in which technology amplifies human creativity rather than replacing it? I interviewed Nathaniel Okenwa, developer evangelist at Twilio, to pick his brains about this question, and his conclusion is that, in the future, software development will undoubtedly remain human-driven, even though many changes will occur. Hello and welcome to the Visionary Marketing Podcast. Today's topic, developers and AI, the path to the future of coding, with Twilio's Nathaniel Okenwa. With nearly a decade of hands-on programming experience and a unique perspective on developer community engagement, Nathaniel Okenwa brought both technical depth and strategic insight to this conversation about the evolving landscape of software development. Here is the recording of that conversation, which is also available in video format on our YouTube channel.
Hey! Hi, Nathaniel. How are you?
I am doing very good, thank you. And how are you doing today, too?
I'm really bright and bushy-tailed. We're going to talk about programmers today and, well, their future. Actually, if there is any. Well, you're going to tell me.
Well, I've got my crystal ball just under the desk, so I'll bring it out later and tell you how it's going.
Okay, fantastic. Right. So maybe you want to introduce yourself a little as your manager of developer evangelism. Oh my God. That sounds it's a bit like a Christian church, is it?
Yes. My parents, when I got that job title of a developer evangelist, they did celebrate because what I do for oftentimes people who ask, because it is a very unique job title, is I go and I speak to developers. I meet wherever they meet, whether that's online or in person, and I talk about the tools, the technologies they're using, and then as a Twilio representative, I often talk about how maybe Twilio can help them build the future of engagement that they're trying to achieve. So a part of it is being with the community and then spreading the good news of Twilio as well.
All right. And since you've been mentioning that, what is Twilio?
Twilio is a customer engagement platform. Most of your listeners have probably had a company or an entity, an organization, send them a message, talk to them over the phone, an email. All of those companies need to do it at huge scale, and they use technology providers to make that happen. And Twilio is one of those technology providers where we give all of those communication tools as APIs, and we have tools for helping use data to enrich those communications to make sure they're timely and relevant.
Well, that's brilliant. And obviously you have a background in programming.
Yes. So yes, I've been developing for almost 10 years now, working as a coder.
I knew it. You're the right man for these questions I have, because I have a ton of questions for you about the future of programming. And, this is a very hot topic right now. You're probably familiar with Steve Yegge's The Death of a Junior Developer, in which he developed his ideas that, in fact, AI wasn't going to make stupid people more clever, but it was just the other way around, that it was going to make clever people get rid of stupid people. So what about this? What do you think? Is it for junior developers or is it not?
Well, I think we should talk about what a junior developer is. Oftentimes, when a company hires a junior developer, they're not necessarily hiring the developer for what they're going to just do today. They hire them because they're investing on what they're going to become. The junior developer needs to exist if we are going to have mid-level senior developers, developer leaders, and architects. We need those junior developers. So if you are talking about maybe having their output come from somewhere else, maybe. But if you want to talk about continuing to invest to create the next generation of builders, then I don't think junior developers are going to disappear from the long term. We may forget how important they are for a little bit, but they will definitely make a comeback.
Okay, granted. You don't think they're going to go, maybe because you're young yourself. But anyway, I saw that video the other day with Eric Schmidt. Well, you're familiar with Eric Schmidt. He used to be the head of Alphabet. So, well, he's not a nobody, right? He knows his stuff a little, I suppose. And in this video, he was really adamant that within 6 months, junior developers, well, developers in general, not even junior, would actually sort of, well, do very, very little work. Basically, merely correcting what ChatGPT would be spitting out. And that within a year from now, then they probably would go. Is he right or is he not?
Well, I think there are elements of truth in it, but I think the situation is a bit more nuanced. When I think about AI, I think about it as another industrial revolution. And oftentimes we looked at repeatable tasks that were very, very simple, and we replaced them with technology. And I think AI is going to take some aspects of programming and make them so cheap from a effort perspective that it's not necessarily going to be the best use of people's time. However, I think developers aren't just folks that are repeatedly solving these really, really minor syntax sentences, but they are creative builders coming up with different ways to take a real world problem and abstract it into technology pieces. And I think that is not going to disappear, even if AI is the tool with which they now build those pieces that they have designed and abstracted away. So I do think that AI is going to help developers move to the next level of abstraction, like we've always done.
All right. So they're going to get cleverer then, I suppose. They're going to have to ramp up their skills.
Not necessarily. Yes, we will be able to produce more. So if you're looking at output, you might say someone seems to be more clever. But the way I think about it is like this. Right now, I can use my programming skills to build a website and serve that website to millions of people on the internet. 30 years ago, 40 years ago, I would have needed a whole set of different skills in order to make that happen. I would have needed so much more hardware skills, so much more specific high-level networking skills. And all of those things have been abstracted away for me to really focus on making this website really fast, performant in different ways, with a lot of this other problems on the shoulders of giants that I am standing on. And I do think that AI is going to enable a lot more people to stand on another set of people's shoulders, and we can focus on different problems at another level of abstraction.
Okay. We'll have to get back to that later, this abstraction thing. Is it more like user project leaders, what you used to do, right? That used to be my job, actually, designing the system, doing all the organizational work and implementation and documentation and whatnot. Is that it?
I think of it like this. If we think about the book, the printing press, at first you needed to have lots of people who would sit down and handwrite a book in order for you to make 100 copies. The printing press came around, and that amount of effort that it needed and the skill set needed to make 100 copies of book shrunk. But you still needed someone who could run a printing press. Lots of training, lots of carving went into that. And then we got printers and technology. Now you needed fewer people. So we could focus on doing more things like making more unique designs in papers. Lots of things that folks couldn't spend time creatively doing in a previous time. And so that's what I mean by abstraction. By us having technology make certain jobs easier, certain roles easier, we can then focus on other levels of complexity. So now things we can do with printed work are things that they couldn't do back in the days of the printing press. Right. And I think the same thing is going to happen with technology.
Okay, I get your point. Well, the issues with that, though, is that not everyone is able to reach that level of abstraction. So, well, I mean, not everybody is super clever. And there's some people who are actually very, very happy, doing simple tasks, and I'm pretty seems stupid to certain, but they like it, and they like their stupid task and do them repetitively. Like, well, look at bean counters, for instance. They just put numbers in spreadsheets for years on end, and they're happy with this. And anyway, this all could be replaced with computers, but they're still doing this because they feel comfortable, I suppose.
There will always be people who remain comfortable doing what they are doing in the ways they are doing it. But with technology making so much more different things available, what's going to happen is users, customers, the general public, we are all going to expect more from our technologies, more from our experiences, our engagements with businesses, with companies. So the folks who aren't meeting these higher standards of experiences that their customers, the people who are producing, giving them the value, if they don't continue to meet that bar of expectation that is growing higher and higher, especially as AI helps people to develop new ways of doing this, they will be left behind. And again, some people, if they really enjoy that, there are other niches for them to focus on those creative aspects. Etsy is still a huge place for handmade goods that uniquely focus on very, very specific skill sets. I don't think they're going to be obsolete, but for many businesses, many organizations that want to reach at a scale, they are going to continue to evolve with the technologies.
So what I get from you is there'll be winners and losers, and the winners will be the ones who actually get digital right. But actually, if I look at the situation right now and then look back to what I was doing in internet banking 30 years ago, if you look at banks, even in 2025, they probably have the worst information systems ever, and they're still there. And everybody said, they're going to be the losers, and that's what we used to say 30 years ago. Went to Abbey National and said, you're going to disappear if you don't go digital. And in fact, they did go digital, and it's still, it's all merged into something else. But anyway, so what of it then? Aren't we making, this digital implementation a little bit bigger than it really is? Because in fact, that's it's not really. That didn't kill banks. I mean, on the contrary.
It didn't kill banks, but I would argue that even if maybe they took a while to get there, the way we interact with our banks is completely different to the way we interacted with banks when we were younger. There are 18-year-olds who have no idea what a checkbook is. So there are many different ways in which technology is transforming. But one thing which I think good companies do really well, and I see this a lot with developers. Sometimes there are engineers who are reluctant to use AI or don't want to go out of their way to bring AI into their workflows. But when Copilot came out, when other tools that have that technology built into the applications, the interfaces they are already using, the adoption increases significantly. And this is what the next generation of builders are going to be doing. We are going to be taking these new technologies and finding ways to integrate them into the interfaces that people are already comfortable using. I'll give you a great example that we are seeing a lot with Twilio. People have always been speaking on the phone when they needed customer support, when they needed customer engagement. And it was a really, really long-winded process that wasn't something that sparked joy for a lot of people. However, now we've seen and we've been a big part of the massive resurgence of voice as a channel where people can go and solve their problems really quickly. And even if they're still going and they're talking to a human agent, there are so many ways AI has been working in the background to make that workflow much more easy, much more personal, and much better. And even if a user doesn't realize that me having this conversation with this human has been powered by AI with context, AI helping to surface notes, AI helping to find the relevant history of my experience with this company, they don't realize that their expectations for customer engagement goes up, and other companies, other entities have to also shift. And so I think that even people who are claiming to be stubborn, they are going to really enjoy and reap the rewards as these technologies get built into the workflows and the tools that they're already using.
Okay, and I understand why they call you an evangelist. This Copilot thing, I understand exactly what you're saying about the customer support here and how AI is working in the background. But there are many other examples where, well, this Copilot concept is more than a delusion than anything else. And we are becoming the Copilot of AI, or rather, some people actually agree to become the slaves of AI. Which obviously is their fault, not AI's fault, but at least it's happening, isn't it? I mean, there are cases where where AI is not really the co-pilot, but it's the other way around. And what about developing? Aren't you seeing this trend of, and mostly junior developer, trying to copy and paste and thinking, hey, well, done it, and just leaving the dirty job to someone else?
Well, copy and pasting has been an integral part of the engineer's journey for decades, and it's not going anywhere soon. Even if we are copying and pasting from a different place, and even if we are no longer using the Control-C and Control-V, we have always been learning from the code that others write. And all we've done is we've taken another interface to make that code available. Before, it used to be Stack Overflow, a website where lots of people would write problems and engineers would write code to solve it. And now all of that information, all of that documentation is now available via LLM. The question is, a developer who doesn't grow is someone who goes and finds a solution online and copies and pastes it without understanding what is going on. Now, if people do that with AI, they may create a black box, and that's going to be great when it works. But when it doesn't, when you receive a phone call in the middle of the night that production's gone down, having a black box is not going to be something that a huge company, a huge enterprise is going to want to rely on. And that's when they're going to need engineers with AI tools to go in, have a good understanding of what is going on these internals, solving that problem, and then fixing it. Before, everyone could fix their cars themselves. Everyone could do a lot of things like changing a tire. Now, because of run flat tires, because most cars are run by computers and can do a lot of complex thinking, mechanics are still needed. They didn't disappear. They just became more specialized. And I think that's going to happen with engineers.
Okay. Well, granted. Actually, a lot of people are saying that even already today, a great proportion of code is actually taken off the shelf from somewhere else. I mean, you mentioned Stack Overflow and others. How much is it? 70%, 80%?
I couldn't tell you a number, a percentage of my head, especially because multiple times we solve the same problem and our solutions are very, very similar. One thing which I do think AI is going to be really good is being able to look at every single one of these solutions that we've posted, being able to go and compare very, very quickly in ways that would take humans lots of time, and then find the right solution. Oftentimes, developers have to sit down and actually do maths in order to figure out which algorithms are going to be the fastest. And having a tool that's able to do that for me, it's not that I don't understand how to do that, but able to make me way more efficient, way more productive, because I can do so much more. That's going to free me up to do a lot more creative tasks, right? Rather than just spending time debugging code.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's a bright future for developers, after all.
I think it's going to be bright for those who are ready to chart their path in the coming winds of change. Mm-hmm. There are going to be some people who are going to become experts in very specific fields and are going to be there ready to open the lid of these black boxes and be able to figure out solutions. There are also going to be some who move up to the next layer of abstraction, whatever that may be. People who begin to focus on what is the actual customer experience. A lot of times there has been this kind of idea that there is a product person, a design person, and then an engineer who makes it work. Like, those people may merge into one as we give these engineers, these prompt engineers, these different types of engineers, the freedom to not just build, but rather design, problem solve, test out with users, figure out new ways of creating interfaces and interactions with people. And I do think that as we go on this journey, we're going to slowly go on this big circle back to the most basic interface of all, looking at someone and talking to someone. This is something we all intrinsically understand as an interface. And AI is helping us get closer and closer to that with technology, closer and closer to being able to talk and have something understand us, talk to people in different languages, all with these AI tools. And all of these builders are going to be able to creatively figure out ways to take their technologies, their companies, their value, and bring it to this interface.
No, that's great. Maybe a final question for you. As you probably know, a lot of the software behind the scenes, not the one that you're using, but the ones that's running, all the bank accounts and stuff like this, or all the government stuff and all, is written in COBOL, which was written maybe 50, 60. My father was doing this 60 years ago.
If you're a COBOL engineer today, you are very well compensated.
Yes, and we've been looking at changing these COBOL lines forever, and they're still there. So, do you think AI is going to do something about that? Are we going to be able to migrate all these things?
I think we underestimate the power of people. People are sometimes afraid of change. People sometimes want to rely on what has worked for years. And so even if AI maybe presents a great solution, it's going to be people who decide whether to take it on or not. Even though there are other technologies that maybe outperform COBOL, there are other ways of representing money that work. People have decided that they want to stick to these systems. Now, what's going to be interesting is, as a new generation of people who've grown up with technology changing so fast, is this new set of people, is this new set of leaders in business, in government, are they going to embrace change in ways that we haven't seen before? But it kind of brings me in this big circle. We've talked a lot about AI, but ultimately, AI is going to be implemented by people. And those people and their experiences are going to define where success lands in a decade.
I agree. And people will, as usual, exert their resistance to change. And that will apply to AI as well, I suppose. Maybe a final question for you. I have some students at engineering school around here, and they asked me that question, with all these things happening and the difficulties in getting hired in development at the moment, what should I do in the future? So what is your recommendation?
So the first thing is to explore and experiment. Experiment with the new technologies. Find out what those new job titles are going to be and start to chart the path to become experts. Whether you become an expert in using AI as a tool, whether you become an expert in creating AI or figuring out ways to maximize its performance, or whether you become an expert in building the tools that AI will use. Like, APIs have existed for a long time, but the better your API is, the better the AI agents that will use that API. So don't just focus on, the kind of typical tasks that a junior developer maybe was asked to do. AI can do them really, really well. Don't focus on that. Focus on what are some of the specialties or the ways that I can either empower that, the ways I can bring a unique twist to this so that users can understand and use it better? What are the ways I can empower this AI-powered engagements that are going to be going on around the world? And maybe what are the ways that I can find those new problems that we don't even realize exist yet? So there's going to be a lot of exploring. And I know it's a little bit of a abstract answer to say, look out for these opportunities, but people have done it before and people will do it again. Find those human problems, find the ways AI hasn't solved them yet, and find ways that you can capitalize on those opportunities.
Well, that's a brilliant conclusion. Thank you very much, Nathaniel, for your enthusiasm. And, good luck to all these programmers. I think they have a bright future ahead of them. Thank you.
Thank you.
In conclusion, as our conversation with Nathaniel Okenwa demonstrates, the future of developers isn't about choosing between human programmers and AI systems. It's about understanding how these technologies can work together and solve increasingly complex problems. The most successful developers will be those who embrace AI as a powerful tool while focusing on the uniquely human aspects of software development: creativity, problem solving, and the ability to translate human needs into technological solutions. In a sense, Nathaniel's advice isn't that different from Steve Yegi's. You'll have to become an expert to make good use of AI. It's not artificial intelligence that will turn you into an expert. Rather than fearing obsolescence, developers should view this moment as an opportunity to evolve, much as previous generations adapted to new programming languages, frameworks, and paradigms. The future belongs to those who can harness AI's capabilities while providing the human insight, creativity, and understanding that no algorithm can replicate. The future of developers isn't about replacement, it's about enhancement, evolution, and the continued pursuit of building technology that serves human needs. In that mission, developers remain not just relevant, but essential.
You've been listening to the Visionary Marketing Podcast. We hope this piece has been useful to you. Don't forget to give us a good rating on whichever platform you use. And we hope to see you soon on the Visionary Marketing Podcast channel.